Greetings, dear ones. Happy Friday, the 28th of March. It's very it's very challenging even though I'm looking outside and seeing all the blossoms and the trees beginning to bud and open. It's still very challenging for me to believe that it is actually the end of March and moving into April. Um, Today is just, such a mix. There's so much going on and so much that we can address in the world. And at the same time, there is such excitement in the universe, excitement in the actual feeling of change and adventure. And that's our theme for today is adventure. That despite the horrors, and I am not in any way negating or diminishing or rather minimizing the horrors that are going on around the world and in our own country, our own government. Um, but it is it is not going to prevail. It just absolutely is not. There are too many people um, who are beginning to feel themselves, their own lives, the world in general, coming back to nature, growing things and feeling that. And this is such a beautiful season, at least here in the northern hemisphere, and particularly here in the north, rather than northeast of the country, despite the fact that there are terrible ice and snowstorms in the far north and coming eastward for the far northeast. There are and have been horrible storms, wind, fires going on still at this moment in the Carolinas. And I would ask everyone who is inclined to not just say prayers, because those of you who have listened to this work for any length of time know that we work in creation energies. And that's, again, what I want to bring forward today, because as we're going through this adventure, there's many moving parts. There's many moving parts for us as individuals. And with such energetics pouring onto the planet, evolutionary energetics, newness energetics, um, adventure energetics, imagination, um, moving, one of the themes that has been showing up over and over again is moving into the unknown. And as a matter of fact, just as I was preparing yesterday, this is the oracle card that came up. Hopefully, it's getting into the camera well, but it is into the unknown. And I'd like you to really look at the figure there. And she's beautifully attired, but she is blindfolded. And she even, has her hands up reaching out to feel, to ingest, to take in what is around her as she steps into the unknown blindfolded. And in many ways, we are. We can look throughout history and see this process we're going through having been done so many times before throughout history, whether it was kings, emperors, popes, other religious leaders from other traditions, conquerors, uh, any tyrants, over and over and over again throughout history. And as Gandhi said, they seem to be successful, but in the end they fall. They always fall. And in this instance, they will fall too. The difference being that in previous times, it was either a major disaster, another country conqueror king that came in and took over, the end of the civilization. We see that in many different ancient civilizations in Latin America and all over, where the civilization just ceased. We're finding out through science a lot more that it was oftentimes due to a radical change in the climate, food scarcity, etc., etc. And when they fell, again, in somewhere else, a similar situation arose, a similar civilization arose. Those in power were making decisions, oppressing the people, controlling the people, benefiting from and off the people who worked the land or in various ways. And this is different because there are no Gandhis, there are no Robin Hoods, there are no Martin Luther Kings. It is truly upon us to become the hero and the heroine. And that's what this entire journey is, for us to become all that we are, all that we can be, all that we envision ourselves or imagine ourselves or have sneaking suspicions of all that we are. I was speaking to a gentleman last night. We were in a very deep and wide spiritual, philosophical, economic, every kind of a discussion. And I remember towards the end, he was certainly very upset with what's going on, felt in some ways defeated or, despairing at certain moments, or powerless, or it's just too big. And then I was curious and I said, he said he's working two jobs and he shouldn't have to work two jobs to be able to have a living and be happy and take care of his family and his children. And he works very hard at what he does, always has been, but it's not something that he enjoys. And he does it because he has a family, children in school, etc., or college. But I was curious. I asked him, I said, what did you want to do when you were young? And he immediately, there wasn't even a pause, what shot out of his mouth was that he wanted to be an announcer for the Flyers. And while that may not be the path right now for him, the desire to be an announcer, whatever that gave him, whatever that allowed him, whatever, aspect of that made his heart sing. And I was encouraging him and inviting him. Right now, there is much to announce. Just keeping up with what's going on in the news and having some sort of platform, or having one person who maybe other people are reporting to him and letting them know, this is what was changed in our government. This is the program that is now no longer funded. This is, what's happening in our backyard with our trees and our gardens, as far as the new regulations or lack of regulations are concerned. And I encouraged him, follow that lead of that desire to be an announcer. And if we are following our heart's desires, the universe will meet that with opportunities, with financing, with all kinds of things that we cannot even imagine, or let's say we can't come up with on our own. And I bring that up because that would be an adventure for him. And yes, it is going absolutely into the unknown. And yes, it does feel that we are blindfolded because we can't see the process. We can't see the steps necessary to be able to be doing that every day, to be enjoying and following what makes you feel good every day. There are many people, I see them on Facebook all the time doing so, and they are creating things. They are being invited to speak, they are being invited to teach, they are being applauded and recognized and given awards. I can think of many right offhand, many people that I know, and they simply had a desire and followed it, and the universe continued to meet them. And yes, are there two very profound, very deep, very, in some ways, spiritual or esoteric aspects that must be involved in that? Yes, maybe three. I would say three. And one is, which is very difficult for most people to do, is surrender. And I don't really care for that word because it has so many connotations around it, and it means something very different for each person. But it is basically in the midst of being controlled by outer circumstances, apparently, and definitely with what's going on in our country, the changes that are being made without our consent, without the consent of our governing bodies, Congress, Senate, etc. Well, some of them are consenting, but we are the ones that voted them in, and we are the ones that determine how they are doing to follow what our desires are, or what is important to us in our government. And seemingly with the speed of what's happening, we do not have power. And yet, we absolutely do. And in the midst of this attempt to once again, throughout history has been going on, as I mentioned, to overpower, to control the masses, to keep them down and oppress them and make them powerless and helpless and hopeless. It is not going to work this time. There is too much knowledge, too much facility, too much ability. And yet we don't know how that's going to happen. As I said, with this particular situation with one individual. And we don't know how this country is going to go forward in a new form. Do we go back to the old, reinstate everything, and keep going? For the most part, with the basic structure of democracy, I would hope that we do. But there was not enough involvement of the actual constituents. The people are not and have not been involved with their government, don't even know what their government does. They will now as things keep disappearing. Programs, facilities, grants, monies, etc., etc. And so that's the purpose. There is a grand purpose here. It is not business as usual, i.e., another conqueror, another tyrant, another form, face, taking over, controlling, oppressing, etc. This is the last time around. And we have all chosen to be here at this time to participate in this process of evolution, this new earth, this new way, this new form of being with one another, with the land, with other nations, with other colors, creeds, races, differences, and having that diversity but still be in unity with what is beneficial, most beneficial for all. And because we don't know how that's going to look, it's not going to look like anything before. It can't. And so we are going blindfolded in many ways into the future, blindfolded in our knowledge, our intellectual, cognitive process of here's the goal, here's the steps we must take, and then we can achieve it. It's not working like that anymore, and it won't. But it does entail giving over. Um, Instead of using the word surrender, it's really letting, again, there's an old saying, let go, let God, but this is let go, let self, let internal self, let true self, let true nature lead. And that necessitates recreating, developing, working on, by meditation, by self reflection, by introspection, by transforming and transmuting the mistaken beliefs, misperceptions, lies that we ingested as children and are still running. Those are the programs that are still running us and making us feel that we are less than, that we are not powerful, that we are not fill in the blank. And so that's the multi, angled process. We explore ourselves, another adventure, finding out who you are, finding out who you are not, discovering what you feel, which is why the process that I've been utilizing with clients for several decades is called Discover the Universe Within. Because the lies, misperceptions, and mistaken beliefs are the the program, as I mentioned, that we've been functioning from. And it caused a disconnect from that true self, that inner knowing, that essence, that innate, that knows all things and that will always guide us to the highest and the best for us, because it is us. It is us in a wider form. And as you take that wider and wider and wider, it becomes the one, the divine, the whatever you want to call it, source. And we are a drop of, if you want to look at it, that's the ocean, and we are a drop of that ocean, individualized, or individuated rather, in this physical form. And so that comes to the second factor, this letting go, letting into, surrender, if you want to use that word, handing over, coming into ultimately union with that all and the peace that you are within. And so, yes, it does take faith, but faith isn't blind. Faith is actually built. And that means taking a step and feeling the support, noticing the synchronicity of a person coming in and being right there at that right moment to give you the information or to present the opportunity or to connect you with something else that leads you to the next step. So that's very scary for most people because we like control. Control can show up in so many different ways, but we like to be able to control things because it seemingly makes us safe. And so we have a lot of people leaning towards ultimate control or being controlled by a dictator, a tyrant, the oligarchy that is, being created. And this is in many other countries as well. The strong man is going to protect me. The strong man is going to keep me safe. The strong man is actually looking out for me, when it's always been the exact opposite. Always. Throughout history. Not only history on this planet, but beyond. So this taking our own place and being comfortable in our own skin through our self reflection, through our introspection, through different transformation processes. If you've already done a lot of that work, then please contact me, because the process, the Discover the Universe Within process, takes you deeper, further than anything I've come across, because we can bypass the defense system, which is protecting a small child. It has no clue you are an adult. It has no clue that you now have the capacity to feel and move through those things that were too great and too overwhelming and would have exploded that little child. So this is the adventure. The adventure is in the self-discovery. The adventure is in realizing who you truly are, being comfortable in your own skin. And that was another of the oracle cards I pulled today. It was about being comfortable in your own skin. And when that is the case, then you can go in with so much more trust, because you feel and know and trust you. So if you are here, then in this process right now, in this grand adventure, you must trust that you as a soul knew what you were doing. You knew exactly what you were doing. And this particular planet is the most difficult, but also with the greatest potential reward for you as a soul. And by reward, I mean expanse of experience, widening your self, large self, soul self, in that I've studied this and now I'm going to study that, and now I'm going to explore this, and now I'm going to see what it feels like to be a whatever, because we are eternal beings, and that's a long, long time. And even in this universe that's billions of years old, if you are looking at it linearly, time-wise, that's a lot of different lives, not only as human, but as anything else you so chose to do or be. And so, yes, this may be the most challenging, particularly at this point in time, but it is, as I said, the most rewarding. It is an adventure, because given the fact that you are an eternal being, nothing can happen to you. You do not end when your physical form ceases to be. And whether you speak it in that way or not, everyone deep down inside knows, feels, has little glimpses or more that they are something far beyond this limited 70, 80, 100 years that they spend here. And we are going into uncharted territory, just as you do in any adventure, in any game. You don't know how it's going to come out. You don't know necessarily what the next step is, but you make the choice and follow it. And when that choice is coming from within you, deep within you, in your internal innate, then you cannot step wrong. You cannot make a wrong move. There are no mistakes. There never has been. It is simply another experience. And we have so much, again, that card, Into the Unknown, it stated, life is an adventure. Required to trust that this new plane will reveal wonders and miracles as you step into unknown territory. So it entails imagining, it entails feeling into what makes your heart sing, it entails following, the mystery of how it's going to play out, and trusting in you that each step, all will be revealed, all will come forward to assist you. One of my favorite movies, again, came up this week, and I encourage several people to watch it. I would love to have a watch party. Anybody who's interested, please message me in any way you can, whether it's here on Facebook, my email, andrea@healersuniverse.com. Make a comment on the YouTube video, which is where this will be posted afterwards. And let me know, because the location, I can only have so many people here, but if we need a larger location, that will appear, because so many people desire a cine espiritual, which is what I call it. And we'll be able to study through movies, different energetics, different concepts, different spiritual potentialities. And this movie, Free Guy, is an ideal, perfect metaphor for exactly what we are experiencing and the potential that we're moving into. It's Ryan Reynolds. It's a whole lot of fun, just in as a movie. I would encourage you to just watch it straight through and enjoy the movie, and then watch it again from the perspective of growth, from the perspective of becoming, from the perspective of a creator, from the perspective of being confined and limited as we have been in the parameters that we've been exploring for thousands of years, and where and how that can change with one person, a couple people, a few people, and how when we band together, the entire world changes. And you'll see that coming through in the different scenes, and how the character goes through. He starts out, I'm not going to do any spoilers because I love movies and would not do that to anyone, but he starts out as an NPC. Those of you who have ever played video games know that that stands for non-player character. So basically, he's someone in the background, someone that the players utilize, and he happens to be in one of what's called a shooter game, where you do different missions. You get points for destroying, for killing, for damaging, which doesn't ring for me, but it does for many people. And he is a non-entity. He has no sense of himself as far as possibilities in the world. He does the same thing over and over again every single day because he's a non-player character. He is there as part of the background, and something changes. And that's all I'll say, except for the fact that this is not just isolated to this one character in the game. There's a lot of background characters, and yet what is in him, which again you have to watch the movie to know what I'm referring to, is in all characters, not just the players who seemingly control the game, but in all characters. So please watch it, enjoy the movie as a movie, and then again rewatch it, or please indicate to me and we can have a whole, not just a watch party, but stop and discuss it, and express what you feel and what you took from it, and have a very, very live and living, breathing growth process through a movie. So Free Guy, I would encourage you to watch that, because again, you can tap into it, can help you tap into your own creation abilities. reframe as much as you can what is going on as an adventure that has never happened before on this planet, only because the people now have the ability to take their positions, to take their role, to take their freedom and choose how we want this world to be. So, again, one of the pieces of information that came forth was, imagine not only being a pathfinder, but a path maker. Trust that you'll be safe. Discover new and marvelous time frames and valuable treasures and new territories. And we're finding that all over. One of the things that came across my desk is how, again, another easy, effective, cost free almost way to eliminate microplastics in our water. And those of you who have been kind of keeping up on things know that regulations that have held in check polluters, industries, etc., that had to eliminate and control and dispose of dangerous chemicals, etc., are now being permitted to dump that back in our water. This water is our drinking water, the water we use every day to bathe, to wash our dishes, but also this is the water that goes into our ground to cultivate and to grow our food. So, but prior to this, we had no choice. Now we do. And yes, there's a lot. But pick one thing that you're passionate about, one thing that is significant to you and or your family. Be it the education system, be it the water and air, be it other regulations that are being pulled. Just find what you've always been passionate about and follow that. Get a little group together. Keep up with one another as far as any changes are being made, steps that can be taken, uniting with or organizing with another group that is collateral to that or is related to that theme. There is so much that can be done with cooperation and with collaboration, with communication, with connection of those that are interested in the same things, those that are passionate about the same things. There are many different organizers for political actions, for marching. April 5th, please, please, please find where your local march is taking place. People are going to be out in the streets, in large cities, in DC for sure, but anywhere and everywhere. It has to be everywhere. There are thousands, tens of thousands of people out in the streets in Europe. They're standing up to the dictators that have been in place for decades. Serbia, France, there's been people, 10,000s and thousands of people out in the street in support of what's going on in other countries. Turkey, where else? I'll post, or if I've already posted. Many different countries. It is happening. The people are rising. We are not alone here in the United States. But I keep running the scene from the Avengers movie keeps running through my mind, where Tony Stark, who plays Iron Man, is speaking to Loki, who at that moment thinks he's got control of everything. He has divided the Avengers. He has the apparatus opening, creating an opening in in space to be able to bring his army in and take over the world so that he can be the head of it. And Tony Stark is, he's Loki is saying, "Oh, great, you're here to surrender to me." He's like, "No, I'm here to threaten you." And he says, "Threaten? You have, no one. All the Avengers are disbanded. They're all in different places." And Tony Stark says, "Yes, it does take us a while to get some traction." And that's what's going on here. We are so unused to having these things occur in our country. We have had it very easy for so long, and have gotten somewhat complacent, somewhat taken for granted what we have in all kinds of ways, in the, extent of things that we are luxury, our lifestyles compared to other countries. Um, watching out, our government watching out for our food and our water and our peace and everything else. So, this is the great maturing. This is the great growing up. And in that, when you have discovered more of who you are, the responsibility that comes with freedom becomes joy filled and delightful, because and not a burden, not a weight that so many of us feel, because we are spread thin in many ways. But the power that we have inside, the amount of energy that we have inside, when we're not utilizing it to control and defend ourselves, is immense, absolutely immense. So, what else was new this week? A battery that never needs charging. It can go on in ad infinitum. We also have discoveries, ancient discoveries. So we have ancient knowledge, ancient cultures, for the good and for the ill. Those energies are coming forward as archaeology finds. For example, just this week, 100,000-year-old cave paintings that indicate in those paintings that Neanderthals and humans were cooperating with one another. This isn't the first instance it's been found. Last year in Europe, evidence of the same thing. So we also have the 3,000-year-old tree species was found that was never even known of before. These pillars of ancient trees, whether they're yew trees that live to be thousands, and those are in England or California with the redwoods, or the boab tree in Africa. They're all over. These are pillars. These are ancient ones who are holding the energy of all these years of previous exploration of this particular dualistic, separated, pyramidal form of civilization. And as I've posted, and as I'll say again and again and again, that pyramid structure with the very few at the top holding all the power, whether it's kings, emperors, popes, etc., and oppressing or controlling the rest of the people. Sorry, not a great pyramid here. But as the base widens, what happens to that pyramid? It falls. And then it can become the circle where everyone has their own place and are able to cooperate and collaborate and be in community with others from around the world. We see that in business. There are people that are shipping off to everywhere in the world, making their product and shipping it all over, exchanging monies. It is happening. There's a wrench being thrown in the worldwide trade that has been working, albeit not perfectly, but it has been working for quite some time. Now there's a wrench being thrown in, and those lines of trade, obviously we're seeing that with Canada, with many other countries. There are people in Europe that are absolutely refusing to purchase products made in the United States. And we are going to feel that among much, much more. So we have these ancient peoples, ancient civilizations coming forth. The Hittites, another very ancient culture that wrote in stone in cuneiform. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but much like hieroglyphs, they had to be deciphered. And they've been trying to decipher these stones for many, many, many years. And there was discovered, probably through the wonderful benefit of AI, a new way to read this language. And so now the knowledge of that civilization, of those people, again, ancient knowledge coming forth with the most modern. I didn't have a chance to pull up some of the tabs I have open on my phone this week of innovations, and one of them was fabulous. Two of them were wind based. One was, instead of a wind turbine circling around like a regular fan, which causes many um, detrimental effects, not only because of the direction, the birds, etc., but what to do with them afterwards, because they don't break apart in landfills. Some people have found wonderful, innovative uses of them, actually to benefit the environment. Again, these are all things you can Google. You know, how recycling of large turbine blades, wind turbine blades. But this innovation instead was based on the form of a dragonfly. So it's going this way. I can't really describe it, but look it up. It's fabulous. Another one was the motor was inside a completely new form of fan. So it's turning this way. The blades are bent inwards. I'll try to find it and post it, but it not only generates, I don't know how much more, I can't remember the number, how much more energy than a regular fan would, or a regular wind um, wind-based energy source, but it would not be damaged in hurricanes and super high winds, which is another concern. And it was very small. This could be put on your house, and it could generate 100% of your electricity. That means no more having to rely on fossil fuels and gas and all kinds of other deadly and detrimental, unsustainable resources that have only throughout time made that top of the pyramid few very, very wealthy. And so we're seeing that reversal. Again, huge investments in fossil fuels. Many of you saw what I posted, that the United States is going to be drilling in the Arctic, in the most sensitive of habitats that exist on the planet. And there's already funding deals being made for that through other countries, South Korea. So it's unnecessary. It only allows for that very small percentage of people to become more wealthy, to become more powerful, to be able to control more. And it's not going to work. It's just not, because too many countries have actually gone completely to renewables and are powering everything for free. Think about that. Feel into that. What would it be like to, first of all, on an individual basis, not have to pay for electricity and gas for the comforts in your home? But on a larger scale, that means that no one owns the resource and has that control over us, whether outside of our country or inside of our country. Feel into that. Feel into the fact that it is already here, and that daily there are constant innovations, constant new ways to access sustainable energy, whether it's wind, whether it's solar, whether it's nuclear, whether it's actually hydrogen. There are so many sources now, so many. Again, it's hard on this page to post all of them, so I'm going to really encourage you to go to my other Facebook page called We the People I Have a Dream. It was developed in 2016 when I saw what was occurring, what was coming. And during those 4 years, I really encourage you to go there and post something that is bothering you or something that you don't like, and either finding, doing some Google searching, finding a solution for that through engineering, through innovation, through science in all its many forms, agronomy, etc., etc. There are solutions for everything right now, right here, right now. And or if you can't find anything, then sit in the desire, sit in the wish, sit in the creation ability that you have, that is absolutely natural to you and innate. Another helper this week is the solar eclipse. It's going to occur tomorrow, in some places tonight over tomorrow, I believe. I will post a tracker, a way to find out where it's going to be at what time in your area. And we just had a lunar eclipse. So we're being assisted by the cosmos. These are massive change engines. They are potentials, because not only as an eclipse, but as the other planets and stars are in alignment at that moment with this eclipse, with both these eclipses. It's just, the potentials are being laid out for us right and left, and you get to choose like never before in the history of this planet. Well, at least since we've been exploring this particular pyramidal structure. Prior to that is a whole nother story. What else is here? Just the ability, I think, again, I will refer you to Greg Braden, Gregg, Braden, Braden, one of the most brilliant lights on our planet, who has, for decades, brought together the worlds of spirituality and science. And you can find his videos, go to his channel, subscribe if you want, or just pull up the method he has of connecting in. It's based on heart math, which has been exploring the connection between mind and heart for, again, decades. And I'm going to invite us to do this in just a moment. But one of the things that I want you to also feel into is a term that kind of blended together, and it's inspired desires. And that's what I was speaking about earlier with the gentleman that I mentioned, and potentially becoming an announcer, people who want to start their own business, people who are in the healing field. This inspired desire comes from that essence place, comes from that innate place. And when you blend desires with your creation abilities, it is different than the old process of manifesting. This is coming from a deep and pure place within you, this inspiration, and the desires. They are not desires necessarily sourcing from or even in regard to this material plane. In other words, these aren't desires about having $1 million and a big home and, plenty of cars and being able to travel. That is easily done by anyone who wants to, really work hard and come up with an idea or a product or what have you. This is different. This is creating a new world, creating a new earth. And so when you tap into your own inspired desires, again, you don't have to, you can't even know the path of how that's going to happen. Perhaps you just get the first step, and then the next step will show up. But from this inspired desire, even if you don't have the first step, but you can feel what you want to feel from that desire. In other words, as I said, it's not about houses, cars, etc. It's, I want to feel free. I want to feel expanded. I want to feel creative. I want to feel secure. I want to feel delight every day. I want to feel excitement. I want to feel the learning process. I want to feel being an adventurer. Those feelings, along with this inspired, or those feelings inform, fill out, if you will, the inspired desire, and then tapping into the matrix, let's call it. Again, many of you have heard of the Higgs boson particle. There is a boson field. This is physics, quantum mechanics, quantum physics that have discovered the subatomic particles that actually create physical matter, that actually are in the process of creating physical matter. And that we can tap into that, we can determine how those particles become matter. And in this case, it is become your desire. You don't have to know the science. All you have to do is know that you, with that desire, are imprinting this boson field, imprinting the matrix, if you will, imprinting the cosmic lattice, as my experience is of it. And in that imprint, it is beginning to build the world you desire to live in. So one of the last pieces is, when you are taking those one step and then the next step and then the next step, synchronicity happens, magic happens. And one of the quotes was to own the life you want to lead. And again, not necessarily knowing how that's going to happen. And you don't have to know, because you are not the one that has to do all the work. There are divine beings around everyone. There is nature that is constantly teaching us, showing us, guiding us, assisting us. You are not alone in this. None of us are. Whether Again, communing with others, creating groups, organizing, all with a similar desire and vision, or whether it's working to change something specific to our world right now. Like never before in history, you have the power. We have the power. So when we individually take those inspired desires and discover what it feels like to already have it completed, again, not details, but the sensation. I want to feel excited getting out of bed every day. You've had days like that. You can feel into it. You can hold it. You can feed that in and through your desire. Or your desire is being fed by that feeling and then being imprinted in this cosmic lattice. So, I could name so many more helpers and energetics that are here this week, but I'm going to call them in as we drop in. And I am going to ask from the plant, tree, and flower beings some inspiration for us, a message. And those of you who have worked with me before know that I am doing this completely blindly. My case is over here. I cannot see the name on the top because I purposely do not have any names on them. It allows me to surrender, if you will, and be open to the wisdom that the trees and the plants and the flowers bring. So what I do also receive from my people, from my guides, is where the oil is going to go. And in this instance, it would be going on our third chakra, which is right underneath where the xiphoid bone is, that round bone where your ribs come together, your diaphragm. And the oil is an oil blend called Present Time. And what they're saying is that as you presence your sense of who you are and take your place in the world and in the universe, this oil is helichrysum. This is a single oil from a plant called helichrysum. And this is to remind us, feel into that essence of who we are. It's going on your core, which is, if you were to draw a midline across your torso, right in the center of your torso. And that is your essence, this essence that has been with you throughout all of your explorations as a soul. So as you presence yourself humanly, it will enable you to tap into and feel and remember your eternality, that you are an eternal being, which goes a long way to diminishing some of the fear regarding physical challenges and or potential threats. This is an oil blend on a roll-on called Tranquil, and this is going on your anchor point, which is at the top of your pubic hairline. So as you presence yourself in this world, you will be reminded of your eternality, enabling you to anchor into tranquility. The more you follow the next step and synchronicity and magic and support comes, the easier it is to anchor into yourself and here on the planet. This is an interesting oil. It is an oil blend that's no longer made by this company, unfortunately. It's called Finance. And while on the surface, that is its name, what it really represents, and again, this is information directly from the blend itself, but it represents a security. We all feel like if we had millions of dollars, we'd be safe and secure and our fears would be lessened. To a certain extent, on a physical basis, that may be true. But our deeper fears will always be there until and unless we transform and transmute them. So we're seeking always a deeper security. Security within ourselves, security within our world, security within the greater, divine, one, source, what have you. So this is allowing us to feel that security deep in our hearts. And connecting into our divine power, our divine passion. This is Onycha. Sorry. Onycha. It's a very ancient oil. And the first time I experienced it, I smelled it and literally was off in a rocket, not in a physical rocket, but my energy field went straight out to source. There was no mind involved, there was no decision, there was no thought as far as what the oil is, what it does, anything. I was over at a friend's, smelled it. I literally was out in the cosmos, among and with and immersed in the divine. So that's been its sense ever since that. It's been the feeling, the representation, the metaphor, the potential through smelling this, inhaling this oil, or having it on you. And that would be going on your second chakra, which represents your passion. So this divine passion. And looks like there is one more. This is Idaho ponderosa pine. Again, a single oil from an amazing tree. And this represents that profound anchoring, stability. Also, this is a tree that can withstand anything, huge ice storms, snowstorms, wind way up in the mountains, and it withstands. So this is, this constancy, this stability, this, not falling over, not losing your roots, not succumbing. And this is going on your innate. And that's about 3 finger widths below that bone, that xiphoid bone. And the message or the information is that you will, through following your innate, which is your direct line of communication to your soul, through following that, you will experience that stability, that steadfastness, the withstanding of what may come, whatever may come. And anyone else? One more. They love to play. They love to come out and talk. They love to teach. It's always a surprise, and they're very funny to me. They have a great sense of humor. This is an amazing oil blend called Freedom, and that would be going on your throat. So then being able to take in and receive freedom. So the entire message is, as you presence who you are and stand in your place in this world, it will allow you to remember, to feel into your eternality, anchoring you into tranquility, letting you feel deep in your heart the security, the most profound security, so that you tap into your divine and passion, and continuing to rely on and feel into the stability and the withstanding that comes by following your own innate messages, your own guidance from within, allowing you to take in and receive true freedom and the ability thereby to speak and to share that truth of who you are. One more. Oh my gosh, they're just so funny. They just, no, we're not done. And again, this is, for me, this was always diving into the unknown, because I have no idea still to this day what oil is coming out. I only am told where it's going, and because of the quality of the oil and what that particular area on the body or in the energy field represents, then I interpret. So the last oil is Gathering, another beautiful oil blend. And this would be going on your life force point, which is your pubic bone, so right in the middle of the pubic hair triangle, allowing you to gather in all the life force that you may need or desire. And life is the ultimate in this universe. In other words, people say that love is, and while love is a major aspect of this universe, not every world, not every realm, not every planet actually has that concept or that experience of love. But life, they do have. And life will go on. Whether it's from this plane to another, your soul is eternal. It will go on. Life here will go on. And this is the moment where you get to choose what that life is going to look like, feel like, bring you, allow for you, yours, nature, whatever is important to you. And I think we'll stop there for today. Except that I would invite you to just simply feel the gift, the wisdom, the eternal life underneath everything that is going on, underneath all aspects of nature and this physical plane, underneath and behind your purposefulness in being here on this planet at this time. Allow yourself to feel the life force coursing through you. Even if you don't know what that is or what you think it feels like, you're breathing, you're moving, you're here, you are full of life force. Can that channel be opened even more to take in and receive and experience and live from and through and as more life force? Absolutely. Does that occur as you know yourself more and have yourself more, or as that beautiful statement from one of the sources today to own yourself, to own your own life, to own your wisdom, your innate wisdom, to own your choice to be here now. And as you do so, as you feel this ownership, it deepens the connection between your human and your divine self. Thereby allowing you to trust and have faith in what you feel, where you are led, what excites you, even what upsets you, for that is also indicators. Indicators of where, indicators of when, indicators of what you and only you can do in your way. For following that inner information, even in the face of all the outer conditions and outer information that is telling you not, that is telling you you can't, that is telling you it's impossible, that's telling you that it is too much, too big, never before done. But in that following, magic happens, synchronicity happens. The next step of your adventure shows up, allowing you to build a little more faith, a little more trust, and a little more letting go, a little more handing over to the divine within you and the divine design that you and all the others on this planet and beyond are in the process of creating. As in the movie that was mentioned, you are the player and the creator of your world. Getting to do whatever you want. Enabling you to be whatever you want. yourself to feel what is here now. Whatever there is to feel. Everything is conspiring. Everything in the universe is conspiring to assist, to provide, to companion you. And the more you follow that inspired desire, the more you experience that, the more evidence, the more signs, the more you are able to hear and receive and see proof, physical proof. For as with any adventure, there may be obstacles, but there are also assistants, TS, helpers, gifts, signs, indications, where and how to proceed. And this is truly the grandest adventure of all. It is the greatest amusement park in the entire universe. You again, as always, you are welcome to stay in these energetics. Very, very powerful today. I'm hoping you were able to take them in. I'm hoping that you listened to this last section many different times, feel into it, ingest, take in, allow the transmission to continue to support you and to remind you that you are not alone, and it's not all on you. You don't have to do all the work. So you're welcome to stay in this, or if you choose to come back to a more consensus reality, I always encourage people to do so in your own pace, in your own way, in your own rhythm. Sometimes that's floating back, maybe opening your eyes and knowing that you need to float back in again, or feeling yourself in the in-between where you are less physical and physical at the same time. Whatever way is your way, is the way. So please, I'm opening up a new, on April 15th, there is going to be a new group starting for the creation group. Shape-shifting your world. I may change the title, but it is about creating, tapping into your own creation abilities, discovering more of who you are so that you have more access to those creation abilities, and experiencing a union and communion with not only other humans, but all of the helpers that may be there at that point in time, including all of the apparent issues that we're going through. And I am really also encouraging everyone to please contact me and allow the oils to help you, allow the oils to be there with all that's going on environmentally, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They are the best support I've come across on a physical basis that we can use on a daily physical basis, to have that support, to know that you are accompanied. Because so often I've had clients that, put their oils on in the morning, and then throughout the day they may get a whiff of something, and it's a reminder. Maybe it was freedom that you put on that day, and all of a sudden you get a whiff of freedom. Ah, yes, where am I not feeling free? Or what am I feeling is impinging upon my freedom? Or remember, ah, yes, I am free. So they're insanely palpable and knowledgeable, and they want to accompany you. They're very easy to intuitively hear and receive information and guidance from. So please, 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 I will hook you up, and I'm always here to consult, but there is no obligation with this company. This is Young Living. They have the highest of integrity. You don't have to purchase a certain amount. You don't have any obligations. They don't bug you, or I personally could not be a part of a company that did. So I can very easily, with full honor and respect and integrity, recommend this company. I've been watching them and working with them for 25 years. So if after all that time I have not seen a lack of integrity and honor and respect, then I would not still be with them. So please, 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 I'm going to be teaching more about the oils, either online or in person. So the best way to hear what's going on is either through Facebook, sign up for the newsletter, Andrea at healersuniverse.com, or go to healersuniverse.com and subscribe through there. And please get excited. Just shift a little bit the perspective. This is an adventure of everybody and everything on this planet. And you are an explorer and an adventurer with lots of courage and deep divine guidance and divine companions. So, and again, if you want to explore, as I said, to find more of yourself, to own more of yourself, to channel more life force, to more easily hear and feel the next step, because you own your life, please call me and we'll talk about the Discover the Universe within sessions, and a free mini session, half-hour mini session. Just contact me and we'll set up a time. Please be well. Enjoy the eclipse. Look here for, or in the newsletter, for a source that you can find out where it's going to be and at what time and how to best see it. And yes, onward and upward, adventurers. As always, it is with great honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on the planet. Be well.